Let me just start by saying that the title of this video is not an exaggeration. A couple of days ago, I was on YouTube looking for something to watch when I came across this video.
Look at his arm. He looks like he's on drugs. Look at how, man. Why do all the Dragon Ball fanboys look like weirdos? Why they all look like weirdos? Look at this dude. Would you let this dude around your kids? Would you leave this dude in a room with your kids? This is one of these people I would never hang out with. It's one of these socially awkward nerd virgin. Y'all got the most community I've ever seen. Y'all got the most virgin ass, loser ass dudes in y'all community. Like, I've never in my life seen such a collection of no pussy getting ass losers. Never. Y'all community is just it's just a gigantic ocean of no getting cartoon loving losers. Look at this dude.
I'm not even going to bother addressing his insults. It would waste your time. It would waste my time. I'm just going to say the insults themselves do not bother me. This guy is clearly somebody who is having some problems, and apparently he gets joy out of just insulting random people in YouTube videos. And please do not bother engaging with him. That is exactly why he does this kind of content. If you comment in his videos, if you do anything, if you interact with his videos, he wins. Don't give him that satisfaction. And as you're about to see, this guy doesn't know anything really about the background of Dragon Ball. He is extremely ignorant when it comes to Dragon Ball. Something related to Masako Nozawa because she's going to be there. She's the one that does the voice for Goku, so it makes sense that that's not.
Who cares about that old bag and what voices she do for Goku? Anyways, who cares about Nozawa? She's like 90. Who cares? She's gonna literally have a stroke screaming into a microphone, and I can't wait till it happens. Because as soon as y'all start doing y'all tribute videos to her, I'm gonna do my good riddance video to her.
I know that most of you who watch my channel already know this. I've talked about this before, but yeah, a lot of people care about Masako Nozawa. And she's still been doing an incredible job even as she approaches 90. As I talked about in the video that he is reacting to, yeah, she probably should retire soon, but up until now, she's done an amazing job. And again, people care about her in Japan and around the world. I was watching a video in which Pekin-san, Pekin was talking. So Pekin, in case you're not aware, he is this guy in Japan who is known for having the biggest Dragon Ball merch collection. I believe he's been in the fandom since the very beginning, so he's an older gentleman, probably in his 50s, I'm guessing.
Wait a minute. He's 50 years old, and he collects Dragon Ball merch, and they respect him. I'm 48, and I roast Dragon Ball, and I'm not respected because I'm 48. But they respect a 50-year-old who collects toys.
Hate to break it to you, buddy, but I don't think age is the reason why people don't like you. It's probably got a lot more to do with your approach to content creation. Pekin-san, on the other hand, is pretty much the same age as this guy. And again, his age has nothing to do with why people like him or respect him. I watch a lot of Japanese Dragon Ball content, so I've seen Pekin in many, many videos. Pekin is one of the most well-known Dragon Ball collectors in Japan. He's not the Guinness World Record holder, but he's up there. And well, he's just a really nice guy who knows a lot about Dragon Ball. He knows stuff that even some hardcore Dragon Ball fans don't know. When he talks about it in videos, people sometimes end up quoting him in their videos.
Through all of my research, I've concluded that the VR versus theory is almost 99% not true, especially seeing how very recently the Dragon Ball Daimania channel published a video in which Peking Duck, who is perhaps the Dragon Ball collector, explained how the game actually worked since he was there. And he does describe a strength-based game with 3 possible endings for how Sub would react.
モニターに、はい、バストアップのセルがこう、
はいはい、いる。
で、画面とは何ポイントとかそういうの全くないですよ。 画面にセールの顔だけ。
It's a whole thing.
And of course, he's got a huge Dragon Ball collection, so he knows all about the history of the merch and, all that stuff related to that. And again, he's just a really nice guy who doesn't mind talking about his collection, talking about Dragon Ball, inviting people into his house. That is why people like and respect Pekin-san.
And it's always the losers that make this kind of content. Matter of fact, the majority of content on YouTube is made by losers because they don't have nothing else going on in their life, so they have all the time to make the best content ever. These people can make some of the best content ever, and they can get the most views because they're always online because they have no other life. I literally have shit going on offline, so I can't be on every 5 minutes. Now, somebody told me the other day, why don't you use editing in your videos? You know what edits are for? It's for when you make mistakes. That's what editing is for. When you make a mistake and you need to cut it out. I do everything live. And if I make a mistake, I correct it live. That's why I don't do editing. Plus, I'm not finna edit a video for 4 hours and put it up so I can get, 100 views?
So guys, remember, if you create YouTube videos, make sure that you never create good content. Do not put effort into your videos. And whatever you do, don't edit your videos because that is what losers do.
Toei made him continue. And you know what? He didn't even do that much in the Buu Saga. He just wrote it down on a napkin and handed it off. He didn't even do none of the work in the Buu Saga. He barely did any work in the Cell Saga. Y'all giving this man credit and other people did the work. So no, him. Well, like I said, I'm going to save my fire for when I do my stream on it.
So apparently Toriyama was off on vacation and somebody else was drawing the Cell Saga and the Buu Saga. Look, I don't know where this guy gets his information, but that is obviously not the case. Yes, there was a lot of editorial involvement at the time. Yes, the corporate interests wanted Toriyama to keep going for as long as he could. But that doesn't mean that Toriyama wasn't drawing the manga. He wasn't there putting in his personality, his sense of humor. There was always editorial involvement from the very beginning. It was Torishima and Toriyama that created Dragon Ball as it is. Yes, it was Toriyama's interest in martial arts movies and his various interests that ended up creating Dragon Ball, well, as we know it, but Torishima was the one there pushing him, asking him what does he want to do, giving him suggestions. That is how manga works. That is how publishing works. You work with an editor, but there is still a central creative force, and that is Toriyama in this case. Once we get into the post Dragon Ball Z, the original run era, things change quite a bit. We're not talking about that. This guy is focusing on the Cell Saga and the Buu Saga. And yeah, I don't know where this guy got his information. Yeah, Toriyama was tired. He was suffering. He wanted to move on. But that stuff that you see in the manga was drawn by him.
They didn't do nothing special for him when he died in Japan. They didn't even report it on the news in Japan that he died. They didn't do nothing special for him. The only people that was on the internet crying about it were Americans. Over in Japan, them people went to work. They didn't stop their everyday life because a cartoon maker died.
What this guy is saying is absolutely ridiculous. Toriyama's death was a huge deal in Japan. It was reported on in the news, on the national news, on multiple channels. Probably every single channel that has news reported on Toriyama's death in Japan. Aside from that, there were tons of people on social media, on YouTube, creating content about Toriyama, remembering who he was, sharing their memories, his friends, other fellow manga artists, talking about him. It was a huge deal in Japan.
漫画家の鳥山明さんが亡くなりました。
漫画家の鳥山明さんが亡くなりました。ドクタースランプあるいはドラゴンボールでおなじみの漫画家の鳥山明さんが亡くなりました。
You have to understand that Toriyama was more than just Dragon Ball in Japan. He also was famous because he created Dr. Slump before Dragon Ball. So he already had a fan base even before 1984. He has a fan base that spans from children today all the way to people who were children children back in the early 80s and probably their parents. So he might have fans that are in their 60s and 70s because that is just how well known, how important, and how influential Toriyama was in Japan. Here in the West, it's mainly guys who grew up watching Dragon Ball, whether they're in their 20s, 30s, or 40s. It's around that age range, right? So it's a very specific kind of demographic, but in Japan, that's not the case. So yes, Toriyama's death was a huge deal. He is one of the most influential and respected creators to have come out of Japan post-World War II. So to say that nobody cared about Toriyama's death in Japan, to say that the news didn't cover Toriyama's death in Japan is absolutely false. And well, I think it's stuff like this that might be one of the reasons why people don't like this guy. Again, it's not about how old this guy is. It's the fact that he's spreading lies. And again, he's attacking people like Toriyama for no reason. You have to bring in new people into the fandom in order to keep the fandom going, in order to keep the franchise going. Dragon Ball Kai did that. It brought in a whole new generation. And so those people are what, like 20-somethings, 30-somethings, maybe 20s, I guess, if you grew up like watching Kai as a little kid. And so then those are the people that then ended up watching Super, aside from the old generation. And so that's perfect. That all worked out, right? That was the base that led into Super and all the new content. So Daima, according to...
Dude, I was thinking that same thing, Spartan. I was like, what the hell is he talking about? Kai was bull. It was trash. Most people, when they talk about Dragon Ball Kai, they roast it. It's garbage. What is he talking about? Oh, wait a minute. He has the fanboy goggles on where you only see Dragon Ball in a good light. You never see the bad. We got to remember that when you listen to these people, they always got the fanboy goggles on. They only see the good. They never see anything else. Always got to keep that in mind when you listen to these kinds of videos.
Here's proof that this guy knows absolutely nothing about me. He hasn't watched my Dragon Ball dub comparison videos. I criticize the English dubs of Dragon Ball Z in those videos heavily. So if he had watched those, he'd know that I wasn't just a fanboy that was complimenting everything about Dragon Ball. But I do compliment the things that should be complimented. And one of those things is Dragon Ball Kai. I don't see anything wrong with Dragon Ball Kai. Yeah, they cut a lot of the filler out. If you really, really enjoy that stuff, fine, just watch the original Dragon Ball Z. But Dragon Ball Kai is a great entry point into the Dragon Ball franchise. And I haven't watched all of it, but as far as I can tell, the English dub is very faithful to the source material. The original Dragon Ball Z dubs are not. So if somebody actually wants to watch an English dub of Dragon Ball Z that is representative of what Toriyama actually wrote, Dragon Ball Kai is the only option. As far as I've been able to tell, the biggest critics of Dragon Ball Kai in the English-speaking fandom tend to be the people that defend the Ocean dub and the Funimation dubs of Dragon Ball Z the most. So that's a very specific kind of person, and that's the kind of person that doesn't care about accuracy. They just want what they watched when they were little kids.
I don't know what he was talking about, and I don't care because it was stupid. And I'm just going to leave it at that. It was dumb.
I couldn't have put it better myself. What this guy said in his video was just dumb. Again, guys, do not engage with this guy. That's exactly what he wants. The reason why he does videos like this is because he wants people to leave negative comments. So don't give him that satisfaction. Anyway, I just wanted to share this with you guys because, look, this was kind of a milestone for me. I wanted to commemorate the occasion because I think this is the first time that anybody's done a reaction video to one of my videos. So yes, we made it. But look, actually, I know that most of you who watch my videos and are coming back and commenting and supporting the channel are just amazing, really knowledgeable people. I truly, truly appreciate all your support. And well, don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment if you haven't already. And I'll be back soon with another video. That one will probably be edited and I'm going to have to do some research for it and all that. Put some effort into it because I actually care about making good content. No, never mind. No. I think we learned something important today. Again, people who put effort into their videos, who actually edit their videos are losers. So yeah, I'm not going to do that anymore. That's it. I'm never going to try again because I want to be a winner. See See you next time, guys.